Hello, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. We are here for PC ACC racing at the Nurburgring. Welcome in, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me. My name is Adam Thursby, and I am here as your host for today's festivities. Hope everyone's having themselves a great weekend. In case you missed it, we had some fantastic racing on in our Xbox League yesterday at Brands Hatch. Oh my goodness. Bare Necessities in with the vibes. What is up, my dude? Glad to see you around. Yesterday's Xbox race was just off the chain. Palm Tree Oil and B-Fife going ape, not once, but twice during a 2-hour race. And it was just absolutely fantastic. So y'all have to excuse me. I do need to jump over here because I'm not talking to anybody. So I got to keep an eye on things and make sure I can see what's going on here so that I can get in here. It is 3 o'clock. I'm going to try and connect to this server. We'll see if we can get in. Bubs is here. Good to see you. Scientist Monkey. Mr. Ottens joining us as well. We get things up and moving. Again, we are at the Nurburgring. Today is an endurance race, 1.5 hours. Ready to rock and roll with these guys. I think things are going to be just absolutely fantastic as we get connected and get ready to drive today. Some of these guys are already out on track as free practice comes to an end. They got in early on me. Normally a 10-minute free practice, and it is just now 3 o'clock. So, and now I lost connection to it. This is why. This is why y'all get to look at my gorgeous face. And I'm just like Bear. This is my moneymaker right here. I got to be careful with it. But I just lost connection to the server, so we'll hang out. He's going to ping me when we hit it up the final time. So I'll just wait to hear that. We'll be all set. But how is everybody? Watch out for Pickett, Scott Crudge says. Welcome in, Scott. Thanks for being here. Glad you could join us today. I think we're gonna have some great racing. Look, the Nurburgring is one of those tracks I feel, you know, everybody has their favorites. Everybody has the ones they don't like too much. For whatever reason, when I listen to these drivers talk about the Nurburgring, they either love it, they really enjoy it, or they absolutely despise it. There's no middle ground in there. It doesn't seem. There's no, it's all right. I'm not great there, but I make do. I do okay. It is 100% like, I despise this track, or I absolutely love it. What's wrong with you? Right? So, like, it's one of those things. But I think we're in for some great racing. Hopefully, got a good sized paddock today with a lot of drivers. While we're waiting though, let's throw this up real quick. Don't forget, we're back. Our Xbox League has ended. Season 1 should be back in about 2 weeks there on the 13th of February to start off with Season 2. But we're back next week for PC action in Alton Park, 8 p.m. UTC, 3 p.m. Eastern. And on February 13th, right before Valentine's Day, we're headed to Barcelona, and we should be good to go. And that will end our PC season, Season 1, which again has just been really great this year. Really great racing this season. We've had a lot of great battles. Everyone should definitely head back in for that if you have opportunity. Love to see you here. Always going to try and do our best to catch all the action here at BoX3 Motorsports, no matter what race we are in. I've been told the server is up for the last time. We should be good to go, so give me one moment. I'll get my stuff started. We'll get over to the free practice. There we go. Bryn Evans already out on track today for practice. Get right over to the action. Keep forgetting I'm using the same stuff for both PC and Xbox, so things sometimes need moved around. There we go. Watching the sausage get made today. Max Charb in the chat. Good to see you, buddy. It has been just a minute. Excellent to see you around, man. I saw that you may be joining us for Season 2 of the Xbox League. It would be wonderful to have you back, my man. It has been a long time. Hope you're doing well. You know, Great White North, there have been some issues with lockdowns, everything else. Hope you're getting through and not having any problems. Caleb Stevens, Red Rider out on track today. Your boy Blue is out in that BoX3 liveried Lexus. 27 drivers on the track thus far. We'll see if that number grows. Rogerio Santos, the number 177 Ferrari. Justin Scheffer, back in the Aston. Max, I am hoping so. So SimGrid, we were halfway through the season when SimGrid started supporting Xbox and PlayStation for ACC. So I've been building the season on SimGrid. This will be, you know, season 2 will be the first full season. So we're really hoping, I'm hoping to open that up this week for registrations. We're going to throw out there on, you know, social media, Reddit, places like that to try and get some new drivers over. I mean, look, we got 52 Xbox drivers registered to the server. It'd be great to get at least 10. I'd love to see 15 every week on track, especially this season, given we're going to try and follow. My goal is to try and follow the GT World Challenge calendar as much as possible. So sprint races, endurance races all throughout the season, right? 1 hour sprints, 2 hour endurances, back and forth. And I do want to run the 24 hours of Spa, not a straight 24 hours. Nobody should get scared. We're not going to do that. But a 4 hour race, driver swap in the middle with an 6x time differential to push to the full 24 hours. I think it'd be a lot of fun. So if you go to the Discord, there's a thread there for Xbox Season 2. By all means, please, Max, drop in your suggestions. I'd love to hear them. We're trying to make this, again, what the community wants, what you guys want to drive. And so any input you have, please give it. If it's something that makes sense to everybody, that's what we're going to do. One of the things that was suggested was backing it up, you know, because we're going to do 2 hour races. Back the start time up an hour at 2 p.m. Eastern. And personally, I think that's a good idea, right? So we'll see. No time set yet today. I want a PC. Can you arrange that? I cannot arrange that, sir. I barely got one myself. And probably overpaid just a skosh. It was all right, but I definitely overpaid a little bit. But now I can bring this to you. A glorious 106 frames per second. There is our first time. A McLaren setting that. Our first time is also our fastest so far, well, with a 157.8 from Remco Ottens. Remember, this is free practice. This is not qual yet. But he is sitting up there holding sectors 2 and 3. Purple. Will Green now takes over, though, with a 156 flat, taking sectors 1 and 2. Are Friday D&D still a thing? They are not right now, Maxstar. I haven't streamed in a little over a month, bud. And I was, I guess, kind of hosting it. I mean, we still get together and drive. Myself, Chief, Red, Bubs, all on iRacing right now. So we have been doing that. But it's not official, and we haven't been I haven't been streaming, so it hasn't been on stream or anything. I've been here with these drivers every weekend. And I myself am not the entertainer that someone like Bare Necessities is. That man's a legend. I'm pretty, I'm just not very funny. Again, already during practice, we're showing 156s, 157s. I know previous, prior to the race getting started here, some of these guys were hitting 155, so it's going to be very curious to see what our fastest time is today. Yannick Kurtz joining late. One of our faster drivers, but currently showing 27th. During this free practice, having not yet set a lap. Kevin Silvares, not setting a clean lap this time. Anthony Anderson out in that fantastic BoX3 livery. These Lexus guys really have it together with their liveries, don't they? There we go. G. Steven, liver looking much better now. I'm glad I was able to get that loaded for him in his McLaren today. Another BoX3 livery on the Porsche with DJ. Now again, this just being free practice, we can't really count these times. They're just let the drivers get out and get a couple laps in, right? Maybe start to tune things in. But what I like seeing is for the entire first half of season 1, all we saw was that BMW M4 up front over and over. I mean, they were stacked from P1 to P8 every week. And if you look now with the changes that Kunos has made, plus, you know, with the aero and everything else and some of the physics changes they've made, all of a sudden we're getting that mix back. We've got a McLaren, a Bentley, an M4 and an M6 along with a Porsche in the top 5 during our practice today. I think it's wonderful if we see that come back because again, it was so... I'm sure if you were not an M4 driver, it was very frustrating the whole first half of the season. Unfortunately, there's very little as a league we can do about it, right? Because the BOP was not set. Kunos has made some changes and that brings this back around. And I think it does a good thing for the sim overall. So it'd be great to see that mix up front. Will Green again in that McLaren up front. Geezer running a Bentley in second. Seeing the different manufacturers jump back up to the top, I think we're good, right? No, I'm not, Chief. Do I need to be? I hadn't heard from you, bud. Let me know if I need to jump in one. I'll get in one. Let's take a quick look at our map today. That is the Nurburgring. As you can see, 27 drivers fills it up. That gives you some idea of what the guys will be experiencing today. T1 coming down that start finish straight into T1. I heard it referred to as the German Monza earlier today. And that is certainly, I think, going to be true. At least it would not surprise me. Hey, Chief, I'm in there, my man. All the way at the bottom. Race commentary. As free practice comes to an end, we will get prepared for qualification today. So Tom Foose back on track. Tom has been the one BMW up front that we've watched this season who did not need the M4. He is running that M6 and has consistently been in the top 5 all season long. We'll look to see if that continues today at the Nurburgring. Qualification has begun. 20 minutes, folks. These guys have to set their best laps. Again, earlier today we saw 155s, 56s, and 57s. So we're used to a very tight front pack here at BoX3 Motorsports, and I think that'll be no different here at Nurb today. Before times are set, we can run down through it. Bryn Evans on track today. Bring these times up. Bryn Evans, Rogerio Santos, Givens, Sheffer, Dolshan, new driver. Tom Foose out on track today. Remco Ottens is here. Isar. James Bessing is on track. DJ. David Soul. Caleb Stevens back again in his Lamborghini. Your boy Blue rocking that Lexus. Hernandez. Tobias Gable. Another Lexus driver. A lot of Lexus on track today. Hernandez. Oh, we already said him. Silvaris. Sorry, I jumped the list there. Clueless Geezer's back. Will Green. Kevin Huffman. joining us today, normally sitting up in the broadcast booth with me, has decided today to get on track. Must really like the Nurburgring. And for some reason, I can't get the list to scroll. We'll get through the rest of them, though. Geez, Steven. Daniel Pickett back in that pink Porsche. Mr. Zap Brannigan joining us again. Dimitri Athwal. Petru. I'm going to struggle with that last name. You guys know how I am. Sionica? Sionica? Sounds right, right? Sionica? I'll try and do better. Tried asking before the race, but he was not in the voice chat. Jeremy Owens out today, along with, as we said earlier, Yannick Kurtz. So 27 drivers joining us on the Nürburgring today. If it is anything like yesterday's Xbox race, you all are in for a treat. We wait for times to start to come in today. So we do have some jokers on track. I mean, again, Philip Dolshan. I believe that's the first time we're seeing him out there, along with Petru Sionica. Sion. I can't do it. I can't even. Petru. We're going to go with Petru. Try and hopefully he will let me know how that is pronounced. And our first time is set right there where we're watching. Matthew Givens sets a 158.4. However, it's not long lasting, as it never is during these qualifying sessions. Anthony Anderson with a 157.4. And of course, we'll bring our live timing up before the end of this qual session. Daniel Pickett. Pink Pig Racing in that pink Porsche with a 156. Now Tom Foose quickly eclipsing that. 156.9 for Pickett with a 156.5 for Mr. Foose. Bryn Evans, though, not letting that stand long with a 156.4. Again, we'll have to look and see, you know, right, how tight is our front pack here. I mean, these guys usually are running well within a second of each other. 3 to 4 tenths in the top 5. We'll see if that holds today at this course as well. And there's a breakout. I have to say, I watched Tobias Gable race on Xbox in a different league. Always one of those drivers who middle of the pack, right? I mean, and on Xbox you always have fewer drivers, so let's call it P6, P7, somewhere in there. Since moving to PC, Tobias has been doing fantastic. Now setting the fastest lap thus far in qualifying with a 156.2, but really, again, watching his progression from being on console where things aren't the same, the force feedback's not the same, none of those things are the same, and now jumping over to PC and seeing that progression in skill and speed has just been fantastic. He does a great job out here every week racing with these guys. Tom Foose with our first 155 today at a 155.7. Interesting, we're still waiting on some of our faster drivers to set times. And as I said earlier, Tom in that older M6 BMW, still able to just make that thing work. It has not slowed him down against that M4 at all. Fernandez quickly climbing, currently sitting P4 with a 156.4. Will Green now jumping ahead, taking Tom Foose's 155.7 and turning it into a 155.3. And Will also able to grab all three sectors. 1, 2, and 3 are all purple for him right now. And with us being about halfway through qual, let's take a look at those times real quick. Again, we see this just a little bit different, right? I mean, P1, 2, and 3 currently sitting within a second of each other, but then in fourth, we're outside that 1 second, right? Clueless Geezer at a little over 1 second off the pace. Again, not something I don't think we're really used to seeing. Most of our fastest drivers, the top 5 or 6, are always within a second. And again, we're only halfway through qualifying at this point. I'll be curious to see if those times tighten up as we proceed through the final 10 minutes, and we will come back and take a look at that here towards the end. Remco Otten's back this week, currently sitting at a 157.3, putting him in 12th. Zap back out on track in the Porsche Express. I love that livery. You are a fan of Futurama. You gotta love Zap. Again, Kevin Huffman back on track in his Lexus. We haven't seen him racing in quite a while. As I said earlier, he's typically sitting here with me, but today decided he wanted to drive. Tobias Gebel takes the top spot right now, beating out Will Green by 0.02 of a second, making him our current pole sitter with just 8.5 minutes left to go in today's qualifying session. With 4 drivers yet to set times. And I can tell you right now, you know, commentators curse, all that jazz, but right now, Gable's running about 10th and a half faster than his fastest lap. So we'll see if he's able to hold on to that as we jump on board with him. You see there now over 2/10 up. Lexus able to just chew curbs through that chicane. And all that time lost in the last corner to come around. Really thought he was going to be able to hold on to that one for a new fastest lap. He's obviously finding time somewhere, so he puts one more good lap together, and just under 7 minutes to go. He's got plenty of time to do so. But at one point you saw it there, almost 2/10 up on his fastest. We check in on David Soul, currently sitting in 9th with a 156.9. And with 6 minutes left to go, I'm going to leave y'all with Will Greeny for a lap or two while I step away real quick before we get this race started. Again, we're endurance racing today. 1.5 hours, 90 minutes at the Nurburgring. 27 drivers on track. Stick with us, folks. We're not going anywhere. We'll be here for all of it. We will review those timings in just a minute. We are back and ready for the action. 3.5 minutes left to go in today's qualifying session. Bryn Evans now up front with our first 154 at a 154.9. Just barely getting in there, but taking sectors 2 and 3 to capture pole position. Will Green also moving back up with a 155.2. Seems like you still didn't get my livery. I probably did not. I'm not sure why. I thought I grabbed it before the race because I grabbed like the last 4, but that were there, and I thought one of yours was one of them. I will continue to do my best with that. I think things are going to get easier sooner when it comes to liveries. I can tell you, TG, I did grab the folder and I dropped it in. I had to overwrite what was there, so I don't know if something's missing, but hopefully you and I can work together and figure it out this week. As our top 10 starts to coalesce and come together for today's race. It's such a huge sea change from what we saw earlier this season, because now I'm looking at this, and again, we'll bring it up here in just a moment, but literally in the top 10, there is one M4, and it's number 10, and that's Wilson Fernandez. The only other BMW in the top 10 is Tom Foose. We know he's driving the M6, so to see that is just amazing. What time did Steven hit? G. Steven hit 156.3. We will have that up here in just a moment. It's qualifying winds down. Take a look at our times, and as you can see, our top 2 holders as of right now. Holding on to the purple sectors, Will Green in Sector 1, Bryn Evans, Sectors 2 and 3. And Bryn hitting our only 154 of the day. And our top 4 drivers all within that 1 second gap, right? All within that 1 second. It's where you look to see who's going to catch who. Race pace, you know, qual pace is not race pace. We all know that. So it's going to be curious to see that top 4. Because I can tell you, Tom Foose with clean air is going to win this race. Right? But that's with clean air. But great driver.
Yo, yo.
Hello?
Hello? Hello?
I can barely hear you, my man.
Really?
You're a little louder now. There you go.
Let's see.
Yannick Kurtz getting himself up there in that Aston Martin V8 Vantage. So qualifying ended. There is your starting grid today as these guys start to finish out. A few drivers still out on track, so we need to keep an eye out. Tobias Gable getting himself back up into second. Going to sit on row 1 today, but not quite able to break under that 155 mark, but still a fantastic run with a 155 flat. Bryn Evans and Tobias will make up row 1. Will Green, Tom Foose in row 2. Kurtz and Sheffer in row 3. Easer and Steven in row 4. Athwal and Fernandez row 5. And that is your top 10 going into today's race. We'll keep it right here and see if anything changes. And qualification is set, folks. There it is. If you take a look at the top of the chat window, you will see today's poll. Who will be the overall winner of the Nurburgring endurance race? As we wait for things to get started. Bring that timetable up one more time. And now, looking at it again, I mean, again, Bryn's still in first, Gable in second, Green in third. But the purple sectors are spread across our top 3, right? And that is where the interesting racing comes in, is each one's a little bit faster than the other in a different sector. I see these guys running together a lot, so we'll try and keep our eyes right up front. See where we can go with it. So far, polling says Will Green with 2 votes taking today's race. The McLaren 720S. Pickett top Porsche. EAJXG. I'm just calling 94 in the chat. 94 says Pickett's the top Porsche. There you are. I think I can hear you now.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, there you are. We got you.
Oh, go ahead.
No, Bryn Evans, Tobias Gable, front row. Will Green, Tom Foose making up row 2. Kurtz and Sheffer in row 3. Geezer and Steven in row 4. Athwal and Fernandez row 10. From there, Remco Ottens, Anderson sharing row 10. Sorry, row 5. Ottens and Anderson sharing row 6. Sol and Pickett row 7. Rogerio Santos and DJ going to share row 8. Isar and Silvaris row 9. Dolshen, one of our new drivers, and Beesing in row 10. Givens and Zapp back in row 11. Your boy Blue, Caleb Stevens, going to race side by side. Lexus versus Lamborghini back in row 12 with Petru Owens sharing the back of the pack. Kevin Huffman going to bring up the rear as we get ready today. Now starting our formation lap. Chief, how are you, sir?
I'm all right. How are you?
Oh, fantastic.
I have a massive soundproofing thing behind my microphone.
Okay.
So it's hard to get it right and still be able to see my screen when when I'm
gotcha.
commentating. So now I'm distracted looking for those ISO chambers you can put over your microphone.
Yeah, but you use your mic for different stuff than I do, right? So, because everybody's seen mine. I just got a pop filter on it, and it's a cardioid, so I talk right into the front of it. And if I step 2 feet to the side, you can't hear me, which is fantastic when I have to make a drink.
That's kind of how mine is.
During a race.
Yeah.
So again, I can't... Chief, you know this. I'm glad you're here because I think you can confirm what I was saying earlier. I don't know if you were listening, but Tobias Gable, TG, this cat went from Xbox, finishing mid-pack, right? Every race, to now sitting on front row in a PC race. His improvement in his racecraft has just been fantastic over the course of the last, 4 months, 3 months, something like that.
Oh, yeah. Came out of nowhere. I mean, he was always solid, but yeah, I don't...
always very consistent, but he wasn't...
Right.
Yeah.
Maybe this is his track. But, I mean, last week he had a good showing, too.
He did. It seems like every week he's just a little better. And I think, I don't know if he's practicing a lot. I don't know what's going on, but he's doing a great job. Last chance to get your votes in, folks. Poll's about to wind down right now. Will Green leading with Tobias Gable with 1 vote to win this today. Will Green, the winner of today's poll. We will see if that holds true. Don't forget, folks, again, I'm going to pump it up there one more time before the race gets started. We're back next week at Olton Park, same bat channel, same bat time, February 6th, 8 p.m. UTC. That's 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Olton Park for a standard 45-minute race. And then we end season 1 of our PC League in Barcelona on February 13th.
Barcelona.
You weren't there last week, so it must have been the week before. TG said he wasn't there last week, so it's had to have been the week before then.
Oh, okay.
But again, all season he's had a good showing. I can't, I can't pinpoint a specific race. He's been doing great. So, as he types in chat while running the formation lap. If I were in row 1 with this group of drivers, there's no way I could, I'd be able to not, even in the formation lap, be able to not concentrate enough to not just drive, right? There's no way I'd be typing in a chat room.
Yeah, I can't talk and drive at the same time.
I'm saying, right?
Type.
Well, you and I did all right during that one endurance we did together, right?
That's true, yeah.
We did all right. And here we go, folks, coming around, ready for green lights. 1.5 hours, 90 minutes of racing at the Nurburgring today.
Green light, go.
Green light down into T1, and it's gonna get interesting. Tobias jumping out front quick. As we go side by side, we've got some bumps going wide. These guys going 3 wide through T1 at the Nurburgring is not usually a good idea. But Tobias Gable able to jump up. Tom Foose now running in second. Getting ahead of Bryn Evans. Will Green jumping up as well.
Oh, someone else spinning around in the background. Can't really see who that is. So we've had cleaner
There goes a cone
T1s.
flying through the air. Oh my lord.
Yeah.
So Bryn Evans right off the jump, dropping to third with Will Green applying pressure. Now about to go around the inside. Will Green jumping up there very quickly. Oh, and Bryn getting pushed by Kurtz, it looks like. So Bryn Evans right now not having a very good race. Will Green, Kurtz, and Sheffer able to get around. Green passing before the bump. Steven running now up into 7th. But Tobias Gable out in front right now over Tom Foose. Now, Tom is extremely fast and very, very consistent. So, you know, Gable's going to have to be on his game for an entire 90 minutes to hold on to this P1. But so far stretching it out. Will Green, though, leading the pack. Everyone, Will Green sitting in third. Everyone all the way back to 16th. Now within 1 second of each other. As we come across the line for the first time.
I think Blue got spun around.
Tavares dropping as well.
Red's getting pushed in the grass. There is mayhem this first lap. I'm telling you. Wow. Hasn't been this aggressive in a while.
Coming down into T1 at the back of the pack. Yeah, it's getting tight through T1 once again. Caleb Stevens, Mr. Red Rider himself. Able to hold on. Kurtz with the fastest lap thus far. As he comes up on the back end of Will Green. Green and Kurtz able to stretch out a little bit over Sheffer, but now Sheffer going to be leading a pack himself. As we watch the front of this race stay very tight. Justin Sheffer leads that big train around that carousel. Up into Schumacher. Bryn Evans now applying pressure. Obviously, Bryn very fast. Started this race sitting on row 1. He's going to look to make the moves he needs to get back up front. Tom Foose now gaining on Tobias Gable. We see there in the background, Kurtz continues to apply pressure to Will Green. Foose now setting the fastest lap at a 1:56.1 during today's race. Now, if I'm Tom Foose, I'm biding my time, right? There's no need to push on this.
Yeah, that's why I was surprised there were so many bumps on the first few turns, because there's 90 minutes. It's not even a 45-minute race.
Chief, who's your pick for today, by the way?
My pick?
Chat picked Will Green, so just to put that out there.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna go with Greeny again.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, I want to, you know what? I want to root for Tobias Gable.
Oh yeah.
I know he's in first now, and that's not why I'm picking it. I want to root for him. I want to see him capture a first place race today. Well, my software just freaked out.
Absolutely.
Put Blue in first. He's yellow flagged. I don't know what's going on.
Mine's doing the thing where you can't pick the car you want to watch. You have to do the stupid shift arrows. And like even when I quit out, it didn't
Dude, I'll have
fix
to
it.
send you the software I use for this.
Okay.
The guy just updated it for some bug fixes, and it works really well.
Yeah, this has never happened before. People say it happens. I'm like, no, it doesn't. Nope, it does. It happens. This is bullshit. Oh, cursed. Damn it.
Tom Fu still holding fastest lap, but Tobias Gable able to hold on so far. Let's take a look back. Bryn Evans again. Oh, and Bryn off track now. Wow. Let's go back and take a look at that and what happened. Did he do that to himself, or was there another push? We saw him get pushed earlier in lap 1. No, the McLaren just could not chew that curb. Bryn sliding himself way off into the dirt. And now rejoining. Tobias Gable now with today's fastest lap with a 156 flat. 002.
Is that Ottens? I think Ottens just got back into the, or maybe Bryn got in the back of Ottens. Little love tap.
Yeah, a little bit. Well, we do have a fat pack running here, and Ottens is certainly right there with Bryn.
Ottens is the front of that pack, right?
No, I got G. Steven in the front. We got 5 cars tracking each other right now.
Oh, okay. Dang. There's like 3 McLarens that all look the same to me, so I can't tell who's who.
Fernandez in there with the BMW stuck in the middle. Santos bringing up the rear in the Ferrari.
Zap up into 13th. I think he started 22nd. Rob is right on his tail, though.
Yep. Oh, and G. Stevens sliding around the corner and allowing, just opening the door for Fernandez to get around. Fernandez now going to open it up. We've got 3 McLarens running together, with the Ferrari of Rogério Santos bringing up the rear.
We got Rob making a move on Zap, but they're both in the Porsche, so it could just end in death. We don't know. Zap
2
holding on
Porsches
for now.
and Anderson in the Lexus all together right now.
And Anderson makes the move.
Anderson able to get around and now going to chase down Zap. We get to watch Porsche versus Lexus down in the T1, and he's definitely got the speed. Anderson getting around before the corner, but had to go outside for it. Zap going to be able to bring that down and take that position back, and we got a nudge there. Luckily, just pushing Zap a little forward.
That first corner, there's a lot of rear ending going on.
There
People
is.
just outbraking themselves. Or getting on the gas too fast, not expecting someone to be so
Yeah.
slower coming out of there.
Ottens and Evans. Whoa, we got Ottens way off course. G. Steven following him now. Evans able to get ahead along with, and Ottens off course again. Santos and Evans able to move up. Santos taking it away, and now Evans losing pace to both Steven. Guys, the track is over here. Whoa, with a bad rear entry on Steven's part. The sand caught him and hooked him into the track. That about got real bad. So with a toss up there, let's go back and track that whole 30 seconds just to see. So Remco slowing way down here, but Bryn Evans as well. Everybody catching each other in the corner with bumps from Remco. Bryn Evans able to pull ahead, and right there when Steven comes back in, it looked like the sand hooked the rear end of the car and threw the front onto the track quicker than he wanted it to. So, a little scary right there.
Anderson finally pulls the move on Zap. Gets by and up into 13th.
Very good.
And he is gone. Oh, Zap catching back
Zap
up.
closing her in. With so many drivers, it makes it so hard because with so many drivers, right? Like, holy cow. hard to keep an eye on all these battles.
Oh, yeah.
Tom Foose now with the fastest lap, sitting in second still, but with a 155.8. PG's fastest lap, 155.9. They are literally exactly 1/10 of a second apart. Will Green still under pressure.
TG has a 1.5 second lead.
Yeah, he's pulling right ahead right now. But Will Green still under pressure from Kurtz. And Geezer continuing to apply for fifth to Sheffer. The battles up front are not over, but a lot of the action is back here. Dolshan, now one of our new drivers, with a nudge there from Givens as they go side by side. Dolchan now leading this pack of Givens and DJ. We'll see if two crazy Porsches can go round the outside. Dolchan doing very well. It's currently sitting P17, but doing well for his first race with the league, near as I know, unless you recognize him, Chief.
I do not. Blue has gone into outer space. His car is just hanging in the middle of the air near a billboard. So
Perfect.
I think there's maybe some
good place for Blue.
issues. Yeah, sounds about right.
This sounds about right. Bryn Evans into the pits now, dropping position quickly. We check back up front. Tobias Gable continues to lead. Just under a second back to Tom Foose, and that gap, you know, we get the accordion, of course, going with the gap between the two of them, but able to open it up over 1 second regularly. So we'll see where that goes. Will Green continues to be pressured by Kurtz. And Sheffer feeling it from Geezer right now. Going back a little further, the battle for 9th, Dimitri Athwal with Remco Ottens right there. Will Green now off course.
Oh no.
Go back and take a quick look and see if we can catch it. Slides around the corner, going sideways. Forced to hold his brakes and sit still, waiting for drivers to clear before he can rejoin. So Will Green now down into 7th. And now it's Clueless Geezer leading the pack, with Sheffer, Fernandez, and Green all right there. I've said this before about Will Green, and I will continue to say it. I'm an old man. My dad used to repeat stories to me, and I'm going to repeat this one. Watch Will Green if he's not back up into the top 5 very quickly.
Oh, yes.
Because I don't know why. People just get out of his way as if they're back markers, and they're not. And they just let him by. Chief, you saw it. We watched it together.
Yeah. They're going to lose anyways, so they're just like, yeah, we'll get it.
I don't care. Let him go. It's fine. However, Will Green now falls back out of this pack into T1. Has not headed for the pits, but is certainly lost a little bit of pace. Obviously very frustrating tossing that corner. You know, it's one thing to get hit by someone else. You can say I didn't have control, or there was nothing I could do to avoid that, right? I was ahead and I got rear-ended or what. But to lose it yourself in a corner and drop that many positions is extremely frustrating.
Yeah.
So, Tobias Gable now back with the fastest lap with a 155.4, a full 4/10 over Tom Foose. He now leads by just about 2 seconds. As we watch this stretch out, the pit stops are going to become important. Let's walk it back. You're right. Boy, Blue off into the Toolies. I just had to go look at it for myself to see it. David Pickett now quickly picking up as Dolshan heads off track. Let's take a look back and see what might have happened here.
Okay. Crisis averted. Questionable rejoin.
Dolshan losing it by himself off into the sand, allowing Pickett and DJ to get on by. Athwal and Ottens now battling for position. Zapp finding his way up into 12th as Anderson slides to as well. Ottens continues to chase down Athwal. Oh, and Ottens with the push into T1.
Oh.
Athwal yellow flag sitting in the middle of the corner now as drivers try to. He's doing the best he can to just stay out of the way, I think, and drops back to the pits. As we go back and take a look, Ottens pushes him around the corner. And you see 3-4 drivers coming around. I mean, where's he supposed to go? He's got people on both sides. I feel bad for him. Oh my goodness.
He did what he should have done, but I don't think he should have teleported back to the pits. He should have.
Yeah, I mean, the bump wasn't hard enough to cause so much damage he had to teleport, but I'll be surprised if he's still around after this. That's a shame right there. Isar now dropping back as well, with Pickett, Givens, and DJ able to move up.
Oh yeah, he quit.
Did he?
Yeah.
It's a shame.
Which brings us to our point, guys. Don't quit.
Don't quit.
There's rarely an incident bad enough to quit. That was not one of them.
But here's the thing. And look, I get it, right? I've driven in these races.
Left.
It's so frustrating, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
You're running your race. It's wicked frustrating when someone else hits you, but mistakes are going to happen. Nobody here is a world-class GT3 race car driver. Nobody. If they were, that's what they'd be doing. Right? So if you think about real world races, real world drivers, the guys that can do this for a living, you know, they have accidents too.
Oh yeah.
Right? They come into Monza T1, and even in the real world, everybody knows Monza T1 is a shit show. Right?
Oh yeah.
So to have this expectation that it's not going to happen here is, I think, a little disingenuous.
Right. Yeah, I mean, Portland IndyCar race, every year it's just a pile up in the first turn.
Yeah, and this is what I mean. Like, and there's real money, there's real lives, there's real danger on the line. So to expect it not to happen in these races is just, I think, a fairy tale. So you just have to be ready for it.
That and if it was a 20-minute race, whatever, probably quit because you're not going to get it back. You still got an hour and 15 minutes left at the point that happened.
Exactly.
And he's one of the faster drivers. Get back on the gas. Sure, he lost 3-4 spots, but he probably would have gotten them back and then get
plenty of time to make it. Yeah, because he really didn't have damage. I don't think there was a ton of damage there that would have justified teleporting back, right?
No. Yeah, I think he just thought he was in the way.
Kevin Huffman working his way up into 18th now. He looks to get on the back of James Bessing. Take a look up front now with 20 minutes gone. Tobias Gable continues to lead. The gap now back to Tom Foose, 2.2 seconds. Gable finding his flow at the Nurburgring. Still holding fastest lap with a 1:55.4. Hernandez currently sitting in 5th under pressure from Will Green. But again, Will taking his time. He's not pushing this. Waiting for that opportunity to get himself ahead. Take a look back. Lexus versus Lexus. Kevin Huffman. James Bessing. Gonna go side by side. Both of them taking curbs. Kevin Huffman just a little quicker. Each one decided to, they decided to share that chicane if we watch it again. One takes the first curb. One takes the second curb. Huffman able to come out on top. Excellent driving from both those guys. We're going side by side again. This time, James Bessing taking it back in T1. Huff with the inside, coming into T3. Creating some door paint, but Huff able to get the advantage coming out of it. Hey, Chief, are you streaming?
No, I can.
Well, you don't have to. I just wondered.
I was going to, but that's.
Yeah, just let me know if you do, so I can
select the car.
jump in and grab the feed.
Oh yes, yes.
Fernandez now back ahead. Will Green continuing to apply pressure up here for P5.
And everyone else is fairly well spread out. We got Silvarez on the back of James. Swerves out of the way so he doesn't rear end James there.
Easing and Silvarez now. Tightening things up. Silvarez going wide, giving Beasing just a little bit of breathing room. Jump back. Caleb Stevens under pressure from Justin Scheffer. Red, not real happy to race here this week. This is what I was talking about earlier. Talk about the Nurburgring, and he just despises this track. We watched Scheffer able to take the inside corner. We're going to go side by side. We've watched a lot of people slide themselves off this carousel just so far today during this race. Neither driver committing to it this time. But Scheffer able to take position from Caleb Stevens, Red Rider. We jump back up. Will Green continuing to chase down Fernandez.
Got Givens in the pits. Got Owens in the pits.
So, near as I know, there's only one required stop for today's race, right?
Mm-hmm.
You taking it this early with, an hour and 5 minutes left to go. You're gonna have to go in again, aren't you? Aren't you gonna have to drop in again?
I don't think so.
No?
I guess it depends on the tank, but I think they could probably get through an hour.
Okay.
And then, We'll see. I don't know. Some of these cars might have to fuel save because I think like the Ferrari doesn't have a very big tank. It'll be interesting.
I would be curious to see. Beasing now under pressure from Silvaris. So Tobias Gable continuing to lead Tom Foose with just over a second between them as we take a look at our times. Kurtz and Geezer, Clueless Geezer running in fourth right now, doing a great job. Fernandez and Greeny, fifth and sixth. Santos, Ottens, Steven, and Zap rounding out your top 10. Zap now all the way up into 10th. And giving Anderson and Pickett a merry chase to hold on to that top 10 position. As G. Steven just drops into the pits.
Foose has cut it down to just about a second now.
Yeah, I noticed I've been watching it get a little tighter and a little tighter. That was a 2-second gap at one point, so.
Yeah.
As we watch Anthony Anderson right now, the Lexus in a Porsche sandwich. Anderson with a bit of a wobble around that corner, letting Pickett close right in on him. Giving Zap a little room up front.
And Foose has cut it down to right on the back bumper of TG at this point. About a half second.
Jump up front
that doesn't
here.
look updated, but
I'm showing 3/10.
that sounds more correct.
But it makes sense too. Both of these guys, their last laps, 156.7 for Tobias and 156.1 for Tom Foose. So neither one of them riding their pace right now. And not every lap can be your fastest, right?
Right.
But both drivers a little slower than their fastest, but Tom Foose able to be a little more consistent, gaining 6/10 in that last lap.
And Pickett gets around Zap. Or no, Anderson gets around Zap.
Able to get up. Jump back, take a quick look. Yeah, he did right through T1, able to take the inside. Looks like Pickett now looking to make the move on Zap as well. Had the inside of that corner, Zap able to stretch it out just a little bit. I'm sure Anderson happy to not be the meat in the Porsche sandwich. Those things, from what I understand, are a little squirrely. Pickett again with the inside on Zap, but not quite able to get that nudge going into the next corner. You know, you can tell now Zap having to play defense. Anderson's able to pull away that gap now over 1 second. But, you know, Zap trying to close it up. Hard to do with Pickett right there. And now we're going to go side by side down into T1.
Pickett has the inside.
how late can we break, right? We saw this was where Zap got passed last time. And it looks like it's happening again. Pickett able to take over in that pink pig Porsche. I dare y'all to say that 5 times fast. Lemon Lid's in the chat. Welcome in. Take a check back up front real quick. Tobias Gable continues to lead over Tom Foose. 7/10 the gap right now. So, you know, again, a little bit of a change last time. Now, this last lap between these two drivers, Gable with a 157.3, Foose with a 157.4. So just 1/10 separating them, but enough to open it up a little bit as we see they catch up to back markers now. Caleb Stevens doing everything he can do to get out of their way and let them race. James Beesing off track, looks like. Currently in 16th. Silvaris able to get around. Steven now playing back marker to Tobias. Has really allowed Foose to close that gap hard. Looking like Steven doing his best to try and find a good spot to get out of the way. Allow these guys some air to race again. Pickett, having gotten around Zap, now applies pressure to Anderson for P9. Just under an hour to go here at the Nurburgring. You are watching PC ACC Racing. My name's Adam, joined by Chief Blaze. Jace. What's up? Gotta jump back up front though as we see.
From Foose.
Yep. Tobias now under hard pressure from Foose. Now, if I'm Gable, do I jump into the pits at this point, right? If I know I can push this car for the rest of this race, do I let, you know, do I undercut him and just go into the pits because now I don't have to worry about that pressure? I mean, obviously Foose could follow him in, but you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
Give me an opportunity to just drive at that point. Oh, and Gable way slow through T1. Foose almost making contact. Wow, that was close. Oh.
Yeah, it's hard to say. Oh,
Foose with the inside. Such a tight run of corners through there. Provided Gable the opportunity to hold on to the inside of the coming out. They're gonna make contact though. Hard racing right here, folks. This is why we're here. G. Steven needing to back off as the back marker right now though. These guys are battling. They're going to be slower than their fastest laps, right? And as that back marker that they cleared, you've got to understand they're fighting for position. You're going to have to go slower as well. Oh, and a push from TG. Hold on a second. Hold up. We got to go back and look at that because hold on. Let's go back and look at the replay on this. I'm not sure TG, can you hold him responsible for this? TG made the bump. Foose tried to make the cut around and turned into TG's bumper, didn't he?
Yeah.
Watching that replay?
Like. Let's go back.
I mean, we just watched the replay. Foose now still in second, but 4 seconds back. Now Kurt's about to get around, putting Tom in third. I'll tell you what, we're gonna have to go back and watch that replay at some point because I really feel like Foose turned into TG. I don't know what TG would have done. I don't know what Gable could have done to avoid that.
Let's see, yeah, we got TG gets a pretty good run out of the corner and just ends up in the back of, I can't tell who this is. What number is that? But yeah,
it would have been Sheffer, possibly
Okay.
Sheffer.
and then
Tom Foose
Sheffer's
now.
in the sand. Yeah, I mean TG. Sheffer's in the marbles, so he's doesn't have any traction up there. TG gets in the back of him.
Yeah. But my point being is I don't know what TG could have done. I don't know what Gable could have done to avoid that incident. He was on a straight line. Foose tried to cut through the back marker and swung the back end of his car into the front end of TG's. I mean, he made the pass, but he came over a little too far and swung himself into Gable, right? I mean, that's what I saw. I could be wrong. Well, there are going to be incidents. We always have them every week. The stewards will review, but that one's tricky. That one's real
I'm
tricky.
watching it right now. He cuts over a little too soon and just chops the nose. And
Yeah.
that sends him in the wall. Yeah.
Very curious. So, Tobias Gable now with a commanding lead. Yannick Kurtz in second. 4.6 seconds between them. So, if I'm Gable right now, I've got no pressure. I'm going to drive my tires as long as I can, depending on my fuel level, right? And try and hold on to the front of this race.
Correct.
Daniel Pickett now with Anthony Anderson behind him. These guys continue to battle.
And Red
It's a
gets
shame.
the stop and go, so I'm sure he's very happy. I'm sure some choice words are being said.
Is Red ever happy at Nurburgring?
I don't know.
I don't think so. So Tom Foose now back out on track on the back end of Silvares. If I'm Tom Foose, I'm driving angry at this point. And it's so hard to fight that instinct to make bad moves that are going to cause incidents, right?
Right.
He obviously has pace on these guys. I know what kind of driver I am. I'm a slow guy. I'd be sitting back with, I'd be back here with blue and red in 22nd, 23rd. That's where I'd be sitting. And that's fine. That's who I am. I'm good with it. I just want to drive with folks. I got Tom Foose behind me. I don't care if it's for position. I'm letting him around.
Right.
Right. And it looks like that's what Silvares just did and understands. This guy was just running second. There's no way. Right. That's so unfortunate. You hate to see a great battle like that. I mean, we got Gable and Foose up front fighting for position. It's such a shame to see it end in that, right? To end in contact. You want to see a clean pass. You want to see someone decisively take that corner.
Right.
So it really hurts to see that happen because it's such a great battle between them. Fernandez now P4 under pressure from Will Green.
And I mean, the opportunity was there, but that's where risk assessment comes into play. It's a tight track. There's a back marker right there. There was an accident. I mean, everyone did the best they could, but it's just, sometimes you gotta be a little more patient than you think. Like, sometimes you don't take that opportunity because something like that happens, So, but I don't think anyone did anything wrong.
Well, it's like we talked about a few weeks ago, right? I watched Aries Drives. He put out like a 2-hour video. It was a live stream, but he left it as a video on YouTube discussing, the top 10 things you can do to be a better sim racer. And the first thing he brings up is the Senna quote. I guess it's Senna that quoted this. If you no longer go for the gap, you're no longer a race car driver. Something like that.
Right.
I'm paraphrasing. Yeah. Aries sits there and says, it's bullshit. Bullshit. Because you know what? You're not Senna. You're not Verstappen. You're not whatever their names are that are super fast. You're not them.
Right.
If you were,
the one I like,
you'd be doing that job. But you're not doing that job. You're a sim racer, and that's okay. You're faster than me. I'm not judging. I'm not saying you're a bad sim racer, but you got to know the limit of your ability to know when to take the gap and when not to. Right?
Right.
A guy like Senna can take a gap that you're never going to be able to take.
Right.
So, one of those things, I guess.
Well, do people realize Senna died driving a race car too? I don't know if they put that together.
Right.
I'm just saying.
Something to think about, I guess. Right.
The sorry, that was dark. The
I-
quote that I liked was for to finish first you have to finish, and that's the one I always try and focus on.
Yeah.
Because I'm like you know, I have spins and this, that, and the other.
Oh, and we're watching a
But
spin right now. Hernandez throws the back end out, letting Will Green get right on his tail.
Ooh,
And Will Green makes the pass. That's the one I was waiting for. Will Green now
There we
back up
go.
into P4. Chat may get their wish. Go ahead, Chief. What were you saying now?
oh, it just goes back to my point of not quitting, because you know,
Mhm.
like I just always know I'll pick up positions because I know I'm not gonna quit. You know,
Yeah.
someone's gonna get frustrated. So
Well, look, I mean, you and I, you've a little longer than I, obviously, but myself, Red, BT Bubs in the chat, we've been doing iRacing, right?
Mhm.
And you start in iRacing, you're a rookie. The only way to get into higher classes is it's not to win, it's to be clean.
survive.
So every race I go into, I'm not worried about where I finish. I'm worried about, do I whack somebody, or does somebody whack me, or how could I avoid this incident? Things like that, right? And I, you know, it's something we've talked about here before. It's not about being a faster driver. Obviously, that comes into play at some point, whether we're talking about a real race driver or we're talking about a sim racing driver, whatever it is. Being faster, of course, at some point you got to be faster if you want to win. But it also, I think it starts with being a better driver first, right? Knowing the limits of your ability, knowing what gaps can I shoot for versus which ones shouldn't I shoot for. DJ now heading into the pits. And I think that's what has to happen first. And once you can make that happen, then you can become that faster driver. I mean, I saw so many of these guys trying to, you know, on Reddit or whatever, where they post these laps. They're like, hey, I did a 218 at Spa. How can I do better?
Right.
Dude, the world record is a 218 in the real world. So if you have a 218 now in a sim, it sounds to me like you're doing pretty okay with yourself. Like,
Right.
because that's not race pace. That's you hot lapping.
Yes. Correct.
And anybody can go out and hot lap for hours and hours and hours and hours and hours and eventually get better and get faster. But it doesn't make you a better race driver. And I think that's where,
Right.
you know, it gets important.
Still applies in league racing, even though we know each other a little bit better. But one thing iRacing's taught me is if you think a guy is not good, you know, or he's harassing or whatever, like whether he's a back marker, then lay off and he'll wreck himself if he's that bad, you know, or let him by and he'll take care of himself eventually. Like this
Yep.
anger that comes from us, like, oh, he's so bad. It's like, okay, well, let him take care of himself then.
Exactly.
You know, and then you'll get by him and you know, it'll all work out in the end if you're the faster driver, is what Red always says. And
Yeah.
people get so frustrated hearing that, but it's really the truth, you know? Like, you're going
100%.
to have some bad luck every once in a while, but if you're the faster driver, you're going to win more often. So prove it, you know?
Exactly. So Kevin Huffman letting Tom Foose on by. This is the Will Green effect, I like to call it. Kevin knowing, you know, he knows where Foose was. He knows how fast he is. He's lets him scoot on by. But our was leader now just leaving the pits. Tobias Gable making that pit stop with 46 minutes left to go. So just about the halfway point of our race today. But if we take a look, a lot of drivers around him have already taken those pit stops. So we'll have to see how that works out.
Zap also got a stop and go, so he is
I
back
see
down
that.
to 19 after a fantastic race.
Yeah, I saw that. He was doing really well. Now all the way back down. Caleb Stevens in that super fancy Lamborghini livery. Currently running 22nd after that stop and go. Now stop goes, those are pits. That's pit speeding, right? Yeah. Yep.
Yes.
So Kurtz, Geezer, Green, Santos, Ottens, Anderson, all now ahead of what was our race leader, Tobias Gable.
And they all still have to pit.
But they've all got to hit the pits.
Foo's back up into 10th already.
MZ in the chat, the Porsche Destroyer. Yep, that's him. Team Sand. I didn't notice on the back it says Team Sandbags on Red's car. That's awesome. That's
fantastic.
Perfect. As we zoom in here on James Beesing, Kevin Silvares applying pressure. Take a moment to remind y'all folks, BoX3 Motorsports and the BoX3 Motorsports Twitch channel has been affiliated. If you'd like to subscribe, I suggest you go ahead and do so. Help support the league. Allow us to provide more league racing, more races like this. So if you enjoy this stuff, I would absolutely encourage you to do so. It is obviously not a requirement. You can come here each and every week and find these races 100% free of charge. Season 2 of both our leagues starting soon. Next week, however, standard 45-minute race at Alton Park for the PC ACC League, 8 p.m. UTC, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, February 6th. And we finish our season in Barcelona on February 13th. You can catch it all right here with myself, maybe Chief Blaze.
Next week,
Next
I
week,
will not be here.
week after, you will not be here. Be all by
Be here
myself.
the week after.
I gotta go look now because he's been yellow for so long. Yeah, Blue's off in the Toolies again.
Yeah, that's been happening every so often, but then I see him driving on track like nothing happens.
He's
So I'm not
actually
sure.
underground at this point. The camera can't even find his car. That's insane. Huffman and Silvares into the pits. Yannick Kurtz currently leading our race. We'll see when his pit stop occurs.
And Green is closing up to Geezer.
About a 2.5 second gaps thus far, but we'll see if he can tighten it up. Kurtz with an 11-second lead over Geezer. Otten's now heads into the pits. Gio Inica, one of our new drivers, under pressure from Huffman and Kesar now.
Will's cut it down to 1.5 seconds.
Caleb Steven now. I think we just lost.
Did Red
I think we just lost
disconnect?
Red.
Yeah, that's what it looked like.
What's that?
That's what it looked like. Looked like he disconnected.
Yep. Check in back up front. Yannick Kurtz currently leads our race. Utara Racing. The Aston Martin. Clueless Geezer running in second. That Bentley. Will Green back up into third at this point. Take a flip back over, but Will Green and Geezer both needing to pit yet. Yannick Kurtz as well. Check on Santos. Santos still needing to pit along with Anderson. So everybody in front of Tobias Gable right now needing to run that pit stop, looking to really give him the opportunity to jump right back up front. And given the gap we saw earlier, I think he's got a great chance to really, it's going to become one of those situations where it's his race to lose, right?
Right. Did we lose green too?
Will?
Yeah.
Oh, we did. Uh-oh.
I don't see him.
That's not good at all. Go check in on Steven real quick, though. See what he's got going on. Gee, Steven. Gable now coming up on the back end of Anderson. Anderson not having yet pitted, but Gable's going to close that gap anyway. Santos now into the pits.
And the Bentley can run pretty long on a fuel tank. I think he can run about an hour. So he might still have a little bit of time before he pits. I'm not sure about the Aston Martin, but I'm assuming it's the same since he's gone this long.
Well, Anderson staying out in the Lexus, but letting Tobias on by. He knows his place in this race, and he knows he's got a pit yet, so why am I going to race this guy, right? So Tobias Gable now back up into third with Santos in the pits. Anderson letting him cruise on through.
Oh, Green is here. He's in the pits. I don't know what happened.
I think he might have disconnected, though. Because he was not... Where is he?
Oh, he left again. Yeah, I think he's having connection issues.
He's having an issue for sure. So again, Tobias Gable back up into third. Currently our fastest lap holder at that 155.4. Tom Foose, who was running in second. We watched a great battle happen. Tom Foose currently running in seventh. Hertz and Geezer ahead of Gable, still needing to run that mandatory pit stop. We've got another Porsche battle shaping up with Kesar leading Givens. Givens quickly closing the gap. Blue again off track, showing a yellow flag. Oh, he's in the stands now. This time he's in the stands or in the bushes somewhere.
His rig must have run out of batteries.
Something. He's not having a good day, that's for sure. Anderson now into the pits. David Soul showing yellow flag, but still holding fourth and back on track. You would not believe what just happened in my house. Kurtz and Geezer now both into the pits. coming in together. No, dude, I'll tell you after. It should not have happened. And it just happened anyway. And now there'll be a dead 15-year-old later. Perfect. Somebody, so chat wants us to send out an Amber Alert for Blue. Will Green, thank you so much for that subscription to BoX3 Motorsports. Good man. Although, Will, if you're in the chat, you got to let us know what happened, or come into the commentary and tell us what happened, man. We saw you lose connection or something. So Tobias Gable now quickly closing that gap, coming down the start-finish straight, will jump himself back into first. Will said his game disconnected. And that he made a bad strategy decision anyway.
Well, Coert's got the stop and go, so they're...
with the stop go. Wow.
That's gonna take him out of contention.
100%.
To say the least.
He is back out on track, but that stop go has been issued. Tobias Gable back into first now.
Yes. I will be right back.
Yes, sir. David Soul now into the pits. Zap and Beasing again battling today. Zap off track, throwing up sand. Beasing able to get around. Zap now going to close back up. That is a back marker behind him. DJ, I believe. No. Gap's closing up now. Tom Foose. Louis Geezer attempting to make the catch there, but we've got Anderson and Steven now. What happened to Foose? So what happened to Foose, Will, was it looked like him and TG were tied up in, you'll have to go back and watch the stream because we reviewed it at least once. Him and TG were tied up in a back marker. TG had the inside, the back marker was on the outside. As TG tried to clear the back marker, Foose tried to go between them, kind of. Ended up coming over too far, and his tail clipped TG's front. TG seemed fine, but Foose spun himself off into the dirt. So, again, that'll be for the stewards to review. That's just my hot take on it. Obviously, sitting up here, we do not have all the facts and all the angles. Kurt's now into the pits, it looks like, for his stop-go. He has served that, but is losing position quickly. Remco Otten's now up into 7th. Tobias Gable still leading with now Will Fernandez running in 2nd. His BMW. Tom Foose has gotten himself back up to 3rd, having gotten around Clueless Geezer. But Tobias Gable with an 18-second lead, taking a quick look at the times. 18 seconds over Fernandez right now, with another 9.7 back to Foose. And even with 30 minutes left to go, that is quite a bit of time to try and make up in the last third of this race. It is not good to hear, Will. Time to uninstall and reinstall. Pickett now running in 8th. Kurtz coming up behind him. But Kurtz, after that drive-through, looking to pick some more positions up, get himself a little higher in the finishing order. Kurt's able to make the move and get around Pickett. We know he's fast, right? I mean, obviously getting a penalty is going to hurt you. We know Kurtz is fast. See how many more positions he can gain before the end of this race. Zap and Beasing again trading for position. A quick jump back. Zap leading, but James able to get around on the outside. Zap trying to parlay the outside T1 into an inside T2 and just was not able to work out. Now James taking that position commandingly. Your boy Blue back on track. And wow. Well, that escalated quickly. Wyatt Gables continues to lead. It is not Blue's day. He keeps trying to come back in and make it work, and so far just does not seem to be working for him. Take a quick look at our times, folks. Tobias Gable 64 minutes in, leading with 32 laps. Fernandez currently running second with Tom Foose in third. Clueless Geezer sitting in fourth and Santos in fifth. So a lot of action today. The race has been going great. Back on track and got inside track. He did a great job. T Bubs is here. Yeah, overtake them from the inside of the track. You're not wrong, B99. He is certainly Having quite the fun. So I want to take a quick look here, though, and unfortunately, the only way to do this is to change things around. But look, Fernandez has cleared his pit. All these guys, 2, 3, 4, all the pit stops are cleared, right? Gable's got a 20-second lead on Fernandez. Foose is another 10 seconds back. So again, we're down to 24.5 minutes. I don't see anybody able to catch Tobias Gable in this race unless he makes a mistake. Again, as we've talked about, it's going to be his race to lose today. But Wilson Fernandez up into second. We didn't even have him in the top, contention up front. So great job on his part. Kurt's now catching up onto the back end of Ottens. Remco with some struggles today. But Kurtz as well, as they play together for P7. Kurtz with the inside. Ottens set up to take inside into T2. And a bump. We're going to trade door paint today, folks. Otten's off the inside of the course. Kurt's able to move up. Will Green getting ready to accept stewarding reports. Otten's, I'm sure, frustrated with that one getting bumped into the inside, but those things do happen. Rogerio Santos currently sitting in 5th. Relatively quiet race for Rogerio today. We've talked about this before too. I mean, how many races are not, maybe not won, but do people do very well in? I think, our boy Max Charb, who was in the chat earlier, is one of those things where minding your business and staying out of trouble allows you to place very, very high in a lot of these races, right? You might not be in P1, you might not be in P2, but if you can just be consistent, not allow anyone to clip you, and not hit anybody else, you come to the end of an hour and a half race, and all of a sudden, I mean, we're looking again right here, Santos sitting in 5th. That's a good place to be, having not been in any trouble today, right?
Right, yeah. Well, and it kind of goes back to my point earlier, like sometimes it's just better to let someone by early in the race, even if they're not faster than you, and let them handle themselves, or...
Yep. See, Max is in the chat. He said it. I'm here, still here, minding my business, staying out of trouble. Pickett back into the pits now with his pink pig Porsche. I didn't see a penalty thrown, so interesting to see him going in and out. Fernandez now looking at timing screens. Fernandez now 21.8 seconds back, almost 22 seconds back from Tobias Gable. So Tobias has clean air. He's able to run his race. He just has to stay consistent for the next 20 minutes. He's got this locked up. Fernandez in second. Tom Foose still running in third. Clueless Geezer sitting in 5th right now. I'm sorry, 4th. Dario Santos in 5th. Scheffer 6th. Kurtz who we saw just get around Ottens in 7th. Speaking of Remco Ottens in 8th. Anderson in 9th, and G. Steven sitting in 10th right now. Your top 10. Kurtz now takes the fastest lap, sitting in P7 with a 155.32 over Tobias Gable 155.425. So, you know, Kurtz hasn't given up.
No.
Tom Foose,
Absolutely.
I'm surprised, has not been able to tighten down his fastest lap, but Kurtz now holding fastest. Beef, with that, we're going to lead you on board with our race leader. And I'm going to step away for one quick minute while we watch him take a lap around the Nurburgring.
Sounds good. And a half minutes to go. Everyone fairly well spread out. Kurtz with the fastest lap so far. Gonna show me? Nope, it's not gonna show me. I don't know why. Oh, never mind. Soul, oh, was on the back of Steven, hooked the grass. I know you guys can't see this, but Soul with a little slide. We are down to 20 race car drivers out of 26 that started.
Another great lap from Tobias. A 156.5 on that one, though, so not pushing as hard as we know he can, but at this point, do you? Right?
Yeah, there's no point, I don't think.
I mean, again, he's 23 seconds now over Fernandez. Boos even isn't really closing the gap back up to Fernandez that quickly. He's now at 9 seconds over across, you know, maybe half a second a lap. Only 16 and a half minutes left to go. I don't know that we push that, right?
Yeah, I think at this point it's all about just managing the gap.
Hey, Chief, one thing I can say. Our boy Red, he's frustrated.
Yeah.
Well, I know Red, he would have jumped in here if he weren't.
Yeah.
EAJ, I'm going to have to ask you to, if I don't think Huff is in the chat, Will might be able to answer that. The PC side of things, I have not really watched that hard. These guys have their own rules about what classification each driver is, between silver, amateur, and pro, due to the way they did the teams. And there we see Kurtz making the move on Sheffer right there, getting ahead. Aston versus Aston, and Kurtz able to get around. Yeah, if I remember right, the AM drivers or rookie drivers, all that means in this particular season means that they are not a part of a team, right?
Correct.
And yes, that means they're not slow. Doesn't mean they're slow. So Kurt's able to bring himself up into P6 now. All the rest of our drivers relatively well cleared out. Go check on Blue. Blue still hanging out in the bushes. Every time he rejoins, ends up off in the Toolies somewhere. Not really sure why. Tobias Gable still leading right now. A 23-second gap back to second. Under 15 minutes left to go in today's endurance race. Don't forget, folks, we're back next week. 45 minutes of racing at Alton Park. A very tight course. That is a narrow track for GT3 cars to be on. Expect some exciting racing next Sunday, 8 p.m. UTC, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then we finish out season 1 at Barcelona, February 13th. Don't forget as well, our Xbox racers will be back for season 2, starting right around, I want to say February 12th. All of our Xbox drivers can expect an announcement to come up in the next week, preparing for that season. B99, it would be great if you would come back. We are looking to build it. I don't know if you were here earlier. I discussed the Xbox Season 2. And, you know, the PC guys are doing their own thing. They're going to have 2 series running. They're going to have an endurance series and a sprint series. Okay. However, the Xbox side, we're going to combine things. We're going to do sprint and endurance races. Sprints will be 1 hour. Endurance will be 2. And we're going to follow as closely as possible, given the tracks available and everything, the real GT World Challenge season. So if it's on the calendar as a sprint race, it'll be a 1 hour race for us. If it is an endurance race on the calendar, it will be an endurance race for us. And we will also be looking to do the 24 hours of Spa. Drivers will team up, 4-hour race with a 6x time multiplier to give us the full 24 hours during the course of the Xbox season. Coming up season 2 in about 2 weeks. And you'll be able to catch all of that action right here. You know, even with having just gotten passed by Kurt Scheffer, having a great race today. Currently sitting P7. That number 25 Aston. Remco Ottens, even with the troubles he has had, sitting P8 right now in his McLaren.
Geezer did spin around at one point while we were talking, so that gave Santos 5 seconds back.
Oh, did he? Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, Geezer's another one I think we've seen a lot of improvement from over the course of this season, right? I mean, someone that was running further back in the pack, outside the top 10, now currently sitting in P4. He's a guy who's gotten a lot more consistent. And I think that matters more than the speed even, is that consistency. You know, I can be a second and a half slower than you if I never spin off the track.
Right.
Right. So, and I think Geezer's done a great job building that consistency and bringing things closer to where they need to be for him to continue to improve. Coming down now to our final 10 minutes of this 90-minute race today. Let's get the blue cam out one more time. Your boy Blue back on track. Curious to see how long it lasts right now with no battles going on. Let's keep the focus right here for just a minute and see which tree he heads off into this time.
Yeah.
I feel bad for him. Blue just wants to race, right? With his weird Burger King sandwiches that he makes and everything. I mean, he just wants to drive, and he spent this whole race driving into stands and trees and everything else, obviously with connection issues to the server, nothing that he's done himself.
Yeah. I mean, I think he drank his Red Bull today because he's had wings a few times,
Yep.
taken off into space.
And a little bit of a slide there coming through that carousel at the bottom of the hill. Bias Gable, as we talked about earlier, just continuing to hold that consistent pace. Now a 24.5-second gap back to Fernandez. Tobias doing a great job today. And there goes Blue off into the stands.
Oh, he's gone.
One more time. I knew if we stuck for a minute, we'd catch him. Somebody should clip that. Should absolutely clip. We caught Blue into the stands this time. As we talked about earlier, again, we talked about the last 2 races coming up for the PC season. Don't forget, season 2 will be coming after that. And staff over at BoX3 Motorsports are hard at work putting that together, getting community input. If you are an Xbox racer, please go to the thread on the Discord for season 2 of Xbox. We want your suggestions. As we've said from day one, BoX3 Motorsports is a community-driven sim racing league. Your input matters. So please come over to the Discord, give us your suggestions. We want to make sure we get as many drivers as happy as possible with how we run things. And we want people to feel as though they have a say in what goes on.
But you don't really.
Don't tell people that. See, I knew you were going to say something. Don't tell people that. Because they do. Like, okay, so somebody already suggested, and I'm going to throw it up as a poll.
To a vote.
We do, and I'm going to throw it up as a poll because somebody suggested that with doing 2-hour endurance races during the season, we should back the start time up an hour, right? The other poll I want to put out there, and I've talked to Huff about it on broadcast, and maybe you were there, Chief, too, I'm not sure, but qualification. I really think, again, in this goal of making things more real world-like, all should be an hour. It doesn't mean you don't have to drive the whole time, right? If you're a driver,
right.
You don't have to drive the whole time. You don't have to be on course the whole time. You can log out of the server and come back in. All should be a full hour. Because that's what happens in the real world, right? Drivers, they go out, they do some laps, they come back, they make changes. They go out and do some laps, they come back, they make changes. I really think that would be a good way to do it. Plus, especially, never mind on the Xbox side, because the max drivers we can have due to server limitations is 20 anyway. On the PC side, we've had races with 40 plus drivers on track. How do you qual at Brands Hatch with 40 drivers in 10 minutes?
Right.
Like, there's people sitting there knowing either A, they couldn't get their fastest lap, or B, there sits Blue off in the... We just saw Blue again. Hovering above the track, watching other drivers go by.
Flapping his Red Bull wings.
There he sits. Let's check in on the Blue cam. There he is. What I can't understand is him and DJ keep changing places. It's very strange.
Maybe it's whoever's internet connects first back to the server.
B99 in chat says Blue cam is getting the close shots. Yeah, Blue sits up there right there to catch all the drivers coming up the hill. He's got a GoPro sitting in the seat of that car as they come up there over the rise.
Well, you think all that Taco Bell, he just let one loose and it lifted him in the air?
You never know. You never know. But back to what I was saying, I think I'm going to push, even on the Xbox side, to take qualification to an hour. And when we talk about the broadcasts and that, there might be dead air during broadcasts of focused on one driver because it's a full hour of qual. I'm going to look at some other software that kind of changes things up a little bit. But anyway, the point being is I think it gives everybody an opportunity to feel like they've had plenty of time to qualify. Maybe you're like me, right? After 6 to 7 laps during a qualification, I know I've gone as fast as I can go. So I'm going to only join in the last 15 minutes. You know what I mean?
Right.
Where other drivers, they want to tweak, they want to see what they can do. So we'll see. Put it to a vote on the Xbox side and see what guys want to do. So I think it would work out well. Thrillo in the chat. Thrillo in the chat says he agrees. Advieta says, why not do half hour and give each class 10 minutes? Advieta, here's why I would say that
Way
that
too hard
can
to
be,
monitor.
well, here's the thing, and right there, because from experience of running servers and running a league, like we don't have, none of us, I'm telling you right now that run this league have a ton of experience with running a league. And 949 might do a much better job. I don't know. Maybe they have better drivers. Not to say our drivers are bad drivers, but it's like herding cats. I mean, that's what it comes down to is like, I mean, Chief, I dread, like I want to do this spa 24-hour thing. I dread the driver swap because we've seen it, right? You and I know how that works.
Yes.
So I dread doing it. I think it's going to be a fantastic race, but I really dread doing it. Right.
And that's my hesitation with switching the times for endurance too, because people are gonna forget, which I get is not necessarily our problem, but
oh no, I was gonna switch all the times
because everyone. Oh, okay, you're just gonna.
Oh no, across the board, 2 p.m. Eastern.
Okay, I was gonna say
done.
You don't want two different times. One
no,
for endurance,
no.
one for sprints.
No.
Yeah.
I don't think we should do it because you know what, people will forget, and
yeah.
You know, I think being consistent is important. So.
Right.
Down to just 3.5 minutes left to go in today's race. Tobias Gable continues to lead commandingly, 27.7 seconds now. We've watched that gap continue to open up. You take a look, his last lap, I mean, at least they're being consistent, another 56.3. When we were on board earlier, he was running right around that time, that 56.3, 56.4 time. So 100%. His race to command right now, and with that much of a lead, it's going to be very hard for anyone to catch him, even if he does make a mistake. Tom Foose closing the gap slightly on Fernandez, now down to 8.5 seconds. Tom able to run on his own.
I'm sure he's frustrated that he's not fighting for the win, but all said and done, he really only lost one place, so not too much damage done in the end of the day.
100%.
But tell you what, some of these guys being within 1 second of each other after 90 minutes is pretty impressive.
Yeah, I mean, if we just take a look back at Scheffer and Otten's now, you know, 1.5 seconds back. Steven and Soul. 90 minutes is a long time in these cars. You know, Chief, I think the longest you and I ever did together, because we were both driving at the same time, was 50 minutes before the server decided to die.
Right.
52 minutes, and that was a long time, and we were supposed to go 2 hours.
Yeah.
I think, you know, in those cases, you talk about how you can't even talk, right? You can't even talk when you're racing. You're just trying to concentrate. In that particular case, you and I being in a VC together and talking to each other was the only thing that kept me sane, because otherwise I might have lost my mind.
Yeah, when we did the 6-hour race with Dunn and I were on a team doing the 2-hour stints, like having someone to talk to was, yeah, it's like, oh my goodness. Especially with how much rain was in that one. Oh my Lord. But
Zap now sliding, and I've been told in the chat he is just about to run out of fuel. Zap takes himself off track.
If you pitted early, could you make it to the end? And for Zap, the answer was no.
A damn shame, too. There he sits. Zap Brannigan. That's a shame.
Joining in blue.
Always fun to watch him race. As we watch Tobias now on the final lap. 40 seconds left to go in today's race. Zap parking himself well off course to make sure plays no interference whatsoever. That's a shame too, because he was only really, what, 2/3 of a lap from finishing. He probably would not have needed to do another lap. I don't know, but
yeah.
Looking down here further though, Scheffer and Otten's about to dance here in the last lap today. Otten's pushing outside. We got a fight for P6 coming, or I'm sorry, P8 coming into the last lap of today's race.
The leader has finished the race.
There you go. Tobias Gable is your winner of the Nurburgring Endurance today. I didn't say he'd win. I just was rooting for him. Happy to see Tobias up there.
Yeah.
TG is awesome, very involved, and a really good push from him today. Excellent racing overall. Max, thank you. Max, it's great to see you back around as we watch Otten's try to clear outside through the sand. That's not going to work out too well. Sheffer holding the line. Fernandez coming in second. Tom Foose crossing the line in third, and that is your podium today. Gable, Fernandez, and Foose in that order. Otten's looking to push now, knowing this is his last opportunity to bump up a little bit. Max, it was excellent to see you back today, man. Come around for season 2 of Xbox. We would love to have you on track. Always one of our better racers. And there we go, folks. Take a look at our timetable. Tobias Gable is your winner at the 90 minutes of Nurburgring. Unfortunately, there's nothing I can do about the game kicking me as we try and watch Ottens and Sheffer finish out here.
Could not get close enough.
Sheffer coming across and finishing, taking P7. But let's take a look at that timetable before the server bounces me. Gable, your winner today. Fernandez second. Tom Foose in third. Clueless Geezer in fourth. Santos in fifth. Kurtz holds on to P6 with the fastest lap. Sheffer in seventh. Ottens in eighth. Anderson and Steven round out your top 10. Excellent driving from all of our racers today. A few bumps, a few nudges. I'm sure there will be some incidents for Will. But overall, I don't think we should complain.
No.
We want to thank everybody for joining me. Chief, thank you so much for being here, my man.
Yeah.
Jumping in
Thanks
to
for
join me
having me.
today. Helps having somebody to talk to. Everybody in the chat, thank you for being here. We will be back again next Sunday for Alton Park. 45 minutes of racing. Zach Brannigan. Zach Brannigan with the raid. Thank you, my man. Saw you run out of fuel at the end. That's a shame. But I think overall, excellent racing today. Let's see. That's it, folks. We are at the end of another race. Again, thank you so much for being here. You guys are fantastic. I hope everyone has themselves a great week. We are back next week for Alton Park. Be sure to stay tuned for that. You guys are awesome. Have yourselves a good one. We'll talk to you soon.